Good afternoon and welcome to Blendertainment. I'm your host, Andy Sullivan. Haven't done one in a bit. Let's start off with a little breaking Kentucky football news, though. This just came down. Cutter Boley is expected to start at quarterback for Kentucky against Eastern Michigan. After a tough 2 weeks on the Kentucky passing attack, Mark Stoops and Bush Hamden are making a change. KSR has learned that redshirt freshman Cutter Boley is expected to take the reins of the offense as the starting quarterback when the Wildcats host Eastern Michigan Saturday night at Kroger Field. Mark Stoops did not share the news publicly during Wednesday's SEC teleconference, but did state that Boley has taken all of the first team reps this week. Despite Bush Hamlin's statement on Monday night, Calzada still has not returned to practice. Boley is stepping in for Zach Calzada, the 7th-year college football journeyman who suffered an injury in his throwing shoulder and lost to Ole Miss. In 2 starts, Calzada completed 23 of 53 passes for 47.1%. 234 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. His QB rating of 80.49 is last in the SEC. After Calzada's fourth quarter injury, Boley entered the game for the final 2 drives against Ole Miss. He was just a hair away from connecting with Willie Rodriguez in the end zone in the game to tie the game. Ultimately, that drive ended in a 4th down sack. Trailing by 10 with under 2 minutes to go, Boley's 38-yard pass to Hardly Gilmore, got Kentucky into field goal range for one final score. Boley appeared in 4 games as a true freshman. He logged his first real snaps against Murray State. After throwing for 2 touchdowns against the FCS opponent, he got thrown into the fire at Texas and performed well. He could not get Kentucky to punch it in the end zone, but his 160-yard outing was enough to earn the start against Louisville. That's when all the good vibes soured. He was picked off twice and ultimately exited the game with injury. Former 4-star recruit and Kentucky native Stoops billed Boley as the quarterback of the future. When exactly his number would be called was unclear. That future felt distant until Boley became the most talked about player of fall camp. I don't even know who he is at this point, Jamori Macklin said during fall camp. The wide receiver was blown away by Boley's transformation leading into the 2025 season. When it comes to decision making, he's been very, very good compared to spring. He's young, so it probably took him a little bit to slow down for him. But I think it's slowed down for him well, said Macklin. He's quick with the decisions, knows where guys are getting lined up. He's orchestrating, done a very good job. Kentucky's passing offense has been incredibly ineffective. It's earlier than expected, but Mark Stoops is ready to give Cutter Boley an opportunity to lead the Wildcats. Now, my question is, if they lose this week, how much hotter is Stoops' seat going to get? Because I'd say it's pretty hot after the loss this past week. I mean, looking at the schedule right now, let me pull it up. I mean, sure, we're just 1-1 overall, 0-1 in conference, 1-1 at home, but college football is not a long season, and I don't think Stoops came into the season with a whole lot of leeway. So, we'll see what goes down. This Saturday night's game is against Eastern Michigan. It's going to be on ESPNU at 7:30 p.m. I assume that is Lexington time, which will mean 6:30. But if all goes as it has been going for Kentucky football, I'll probably be looking for something else to watch in about the second quarter or halftime. I hope it's not the case, but we'll see. Okay, I was going to do that later, but the UK football later, but the breaking news came in, and I went ahead. Get a little NASCAR, and then we'll go back to football. Chase Briscoe won Stage 1 at St. Louis last weekend. Bubba Wallace won Stage 2. That was his 4th stage win of the year. The guy's kind of on fire right now, honestly. I don't know if anybody, if that would be a jinx to say that, but Denny Hamlin won the final stage, however. This is, talk about on fire, that was his 5th win in 2025 of 59 in his career. Now, a lot of Denny haters are hoping that if he wins the title this year, that he will retire. Probably, he could, but who knows? Last week was the beginning of the NFL season. And of course, as many of you know, I am a long-suffering Titans fan. Week 1 was a loss. Kicked off the season with a loss to the Denver Broncos at Denver, but they showed more fight than usual. Yes, they lost by 8, 20-12. But years past, even last year, that would have been probably 20-0 or 20-3. So, baby steps, I guess. Week 2 is on CBS against the Los Angeles Rams. Week 3, Indianapolis Colts. Week 4 at the Houston Texans. Week 5 at the Arizona Cardinals. Week 6 at the Los Angeles Raiders. Week 7, New England Patriots. Week 8 at the Indianapolis Colts. Week 9, Los Angeles Chargers. Week 10 is a bye week. Week 11, Houston Texans. Week 12, Seattle Seahawks. Week 13, Jacksonville Jaguars. 14 at the Cleveland Browns. 15 at the San Francisco 49ers. 16 at the Kansas City Chiefs. Come to LP Field, the defending runner-up, but I figure it's already written in since I know they lost week 1, but I figure it's already written in that they win the Super Bowl, since Kelsey and Taylor Swift, are engaged. By the way, well, no, maybe I shouldn't say that. It's conspicuous by their social media absence, back when Kelsey Ballerini and Chase Stokes started out. They were all over social media. She was just posting them left and right, and I just have a feeling that somebody in her camp pulled her aside and said, hey, maybe ease up a little bit. Pull back. because you haven't seen as much. So how'd I get from football to talking about Kelsey Ballerini's love life? Okay, let's forget about that. And where we at? Oh yes, late night TV. As you know, I've been a proponent of Peacock instead of watching NBC. I used to record Fallon on NBC, but with Peacock raising their prices yet again, I think $10.99. I've seriously considered canceling Peacock, but I've watched some good movies on there. They've got a lot of good movies, and they've got some good series, and that's where I watch The Tonight Show with the good picture. So maybe not. Maybe I'll suck it up, and because well, we'll see what happens. But anyway, late night wise, Jennifer Aniston is going to be on Colbert tonight, Wednesday night. Steph Curry and Billy Crudup will be on Fallon Wednesday. Reese Witherspoon will be on Fallon Thursday, so that's awesome. Only Murders in the Building returned for their new season, their 5th season, I believe. Yes, on September 9th. I haven't started yet because I'm working on Poker Face, starring Latasha Leone as Charlie Cale. That is on Peacock. If you haven't watched Poker Face yet, get on that show. That is a very good show. Last week, I was not with you last week. Last Thursday night, God, I can't believe tomorrow's going to be a week ago already, that I saw Sawyer Brown play at SkyPack. Now, this was pretty cool. I don't remember exactly how many times I've seen Sawyer Brown. I think just 3. I could have seen him at an Opry, but just 3 by themselves. The very first time was over 30 years ago at back when there was such a thing called the Everly Brothers Homecoming Show. And they were there one year. I saw them decades later at SkyPack. Decades later. I think a decade later. It was January 30th, 2019. Well, I don't know that because I've still got the pictures on my iPad. I believe it was the last show that I saw before COVID. And now, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6 years later, I saw him for a third time. Last Thursday night at SkyPack. They didn't just play their own stuff. They played The Gambler by Kenny Rogers because they were telling a story. They opened for Kenny Rogers. Also, they went to school with John Anderson. That blew my mind. I had no idea about that. When Sawyer Brown came to Nashville, John introduced them to everybody. And the rest is history. And after they told that story, they proceeded to play swinging. They played Fishing in the Dark by Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Life's Been Good by Joe Walsh, which gave the reins to their drummer to sing that song. Should Have Been a Cowboy is tribute to the late Toby Keith. The Race Is On, which they successfully, famously covered. Yes, that was a cover. George Jones originally recorded that song. They ran through all their biggest hits of their 40-year career. Mark said, you might remember we were on a little show called Star Search and proceeded to play their first hit, 1984's Betty's Being Bad. After they played their big hit all these years and got applause, Mark said, shame on y'all applauding a song about adultery. That brought a big laugh to everybody. They ended their concert playing The Boys and Me. Their new album is produced by Blake Shelton. It is called Desperado Troubadours. It was released in 2024, and coincidentally, or not, actually not, Desperado Troubadours is the title of their recent tour. So check that album out, Desperado Troubadours by Sawyer Brown, if you haven't yet. Produced by Blake Shelton and released last year. And here's a little trivia for you. I didn't know. Does anyone know? And I realize now that I'm asking this on a vlog so nobody's going to answer me. But how Sawyer Brown took their name, or how they got their name. The country music group Sawyer Brown took his name from Sawyer Brown Road, a street in the Nashville, Tennessee area. The band derived the name after meeting in their manager's office and flipping through a telephone book for inspiration, eventually choosing the name of a nearby road where they often rehearsed. The members of Sawyer Brown were previously part of the road band for country singer Don King, not the boxing promoter Don King. I do not know this Don King. When King stopped touring in 1981, the members decided to stay together and began playing gigs in Nashville. They initially called themselves Savannah, but changed their name when another band with a similar name emerged. The only thing I can think of is Shenandoah, which is not similar, but that's all I can think. They chose the name Sawyer Brown from the road they frequently practiced, which was named after a property boundary between the Sawyer Farm and the Brown Farm. They were founded in 1981 in Apopka, Florida, by Mark Miller, lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist, Greg Hobie Hubbard on keyboard vocals, Bobby Randall, lead guitar and vocals, Joe Curly Smith on drums, and Jim Shelton on bass guitar. After competing on the series Star Search and winning that show's grand prize, they signed to Capitol Records in 1984. The band recorded for Capitol between then and 1991, and for Curb Records between 1991 and 2005. Except for a short time in 2003 when they were signed to Lyric Street Records. Duckett Cameron, formerly of the Amazing Rhythm Aces, replaced Randall in 1991, and Shane Hill replaced him in 2004. In 2020, Jim Shepard stepped down as bassist, and Nathan Winkler replaced him. Nathan has also been their monitor technician since 2018. Sawyer Brown has released 18 studio albums and charted over 50 times on the Hot Country charts, including 3 number ones. Step That Step in 1985, Some Girls Do in 1992, and Thank God For You in 1993. The band's sound is largely defined by country pop and rock music influences, with cover versions of songs by George Jones and Dave Dudley, also among their hit singles. Artists with whom they have collaborated include Randy Scruggs, Joe Bonsall, and Mac McAnally. Let's see, I've already told you about most of the origins. They won a Grammy for all these years. Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group. They were nominated for a Grammy in 1994. They were nominated for 3 American Music Awards, 87 Favorite Country Band Duo Group, 93 and 98 Favorite Band Duo Group. Nominated for Star of Tomorrow in 86, Vocal Group of the Year in 92 from Music City News, the now defunct Music City News. They won Vocal Band of the Year 6 years in a row, from 93 to 98 from Music City News. They won Top Vocal Group of the Year in 1997 from the Academy of Country Music. They won the Horizon Award for CMA in 1985 and were nominated for Vocal Group of the Year from 92 to 98. So, fantastic career, and they're still going strong. So if you get a chance to see Sawyer Brown, go take it. They put on a very energetic show, and the lead singer, Mark Miller, that man knows how to dance, man. He can dance. He's fantastic. That's about all I got for this week. Actually, hold on. There is one thing that I will leave you with. WrestlePalooza. Even though it's the first under the WWE banner and first since 2000, the 2000 WrestlePalooza, I don't know if people know this or not, was produced by the former Extreme Championship Wrestling, assets of which WWE acquired in 2003. The event will take place Saturday, September 20th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. This event will feature John Cena's first and only WrestlePalooza appearance as an in-ring performer due to his retirement from professional wrestling at the end of 2025. He will face Brock Lesnar at the event, who is competing in his first match since August 2023. In addition, the event will feature AJ Lee's first match in over 10 years. Okay, broadcast outlets, because I know this is what a lot of people are talking about. Are we going to have to buy a new thing to see this? In addition to airing on traditional pay-per-view worldwide, it will be available to live stream on ESPN's direct-to-customer streaming service in the United States, Netflix in most international markets, and the WWE Network in any remaining countries that have not yet transferred to Netflix due to pre-existing contracts. This will be the first main roster WWE pay-per-view and live streaming event to air on ESPN in the United States, as Peacock's contract for these events ended following the conclusion of Clash in Paris the prior month. ESPN had originally been slated to begin broadcasting WWE events in the United States in April 2026, but beginning with WrestleMania 42. But as Peacock contract allowed them to broadcast a select number of events per year, additional events such as Evolution and the second night of SummerSlam made Peacock pass that quota and in their contract ahead of schedule. Peacock will still air NXT's live streaming events until March 2026, as well as other content such as Saturday night's main event for the next several years. The card, there are so far 4 matches signed for WrestlePalooza. We have been promised the Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer for the vacant Women's World Championship will take place, despite them keeping Stephanie off of Raw for the past few weeks, and we know now why she's been kept off. She showed up in NXT the other night. Also at WrestlePalooza, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. The Usos are back together. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso versus the Visions, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. AJ Lee's first WWE match in 10 years. And that is, well, wait a minute. Hold on, that is not all, because I told you about last week's NASCAR, but I'll tell you about this week. The Bristol Night Race, Saturday night, September 13th. 7:30 p.m., which 6:30 Central Time on USA. And as far as the schedule, Thursday, September 11th. Yes, tomorrow is September 11th. It's I used to struggle to say the anniversary because I thought, anniversary is a reminiscent of good things, but not necessarily. It's the anniversary of September 11th, 2001. The attacks on September 11th, which we will never forget. September. Okay. Back to the NASCAR on September 11th. Practice and qualifying day. Friday, 6:30 p.m. on CW is the Xfinity race. Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. on USA is the Cup race. Again, no truck race. I really don't know how the truck series could keep going. Cutting out, I don't know how many races they have in a season anymore, but not very many, seems like. So, that's it for your Blue Entertainment vlog for the week. I have been Andy Sullivan. Be cool, calm, and courageous. I will check back in with you hopefully next week. And peace out. Later.